I'm going to do this so I look taller. I'll probably mention that too. You're like,
you don't want me to stand up?
Yeah, yeah, I'll mention it. Hey guys, Joshua here with Homebrew Happy Hour, and today I am joined by my buddy Kevin Carswell, the owner of Mochas and Javas, which is my hometown coffee shop, but y'all are actually kind of statewide now. You're a lot of people's hometown coffee shop, aren't you?
We are. We're in three different cities.
Yeah, you're here. I mean, all in Texas.
All in Texas. Started in San Marcos 2003 with 3 locations. We opened in Frisco, North Texas, 2017. And then we opened one in New Braunfels, August of this year.
And he is here because we're going to be talking all about coffee, kind of an overview. This video, it's like 8 minutes long tops. We're not deep diving, but some basics for the brewer who's using coffee. Spoiler, it's that time of year when my pop and I brew our Founder's Breakfast Stout clone, which is an Imperial Coffee Stout, which happens to be a style that you will enjoy.
Yes, it will.
And so Kevin's doing this as a favor, and I'm going to get him boozed up. It's a sequel kind of thing. But anyways, we're here to talk coffee. And first, I forget that y'all have so many locations. I don't know if you can quantify it in gallons. You're slinging a lot of coffee every day. This is literally the location I come to every day, and y'all are slinging coffee. If you had to quantify it, could you, even in terms of cups sold, even at just this location? Do you have any idea per day?
Quantify cups, I'd have to look at our point of sale to give you an exact number.
I don't need it. Just ballpark it.
Amount of pounds of coffee. The store here orders about 170 pounds of coffee a week.
A week?
A week.
That's just this location?
Just this location. Overall, between all 5 stores, this being one of our highest volume stores, we do about 500 to 600 pounds a week, 52 weeks a year.
Dude, that's incredible. And it is a college town. Texas State University is right here. It's right there.
Across the street.
I imagine that's why it's one of your higher volume ones. When I am coming up and down the hill to run errands for my wife or whatever, or go train or whatever, I see a nonstop slew of kids going up the hill, but coming in here first. That's got to be pretty good for business, having such good foot traffic.
Foot traffic. The location's great. We moved to this location actually in 2017. We were right around the corner in the same strip center, but a very small location, harder to find. We moved here when this spot came available, and it was a good move too.
And I want to say too, I have little lower thirds that would say your name and the handle for here and all that. I want to change mine to saying honorary minor investor because I spend so much money here. So I'm going to update that in post-production right now. It'll be there on the bottom. I spend so much money here. I have your loyalty program. I wanted to see how high I could get it before I started spending it. And then I realized I should just start spending it so I can get my drip for free at least.
Well, you start spending it before your daughter starts driving because she'll spend it free.
Well, they wanted me to save up because you have merchandise too.
That's right.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Talking coffee because every year, my dad and I go back and forth on what to use for our Imperial Coffee Stout. Now, in years past, much to the chagrin of the owner of Keg Connection and one of my co-hosts for the podcast, Todd, we've used Folgers. Don't judge us. I know. We've used Kona. Last year we used out of Minnesota, Fieldheads. They're a mom and pop roastery, and they sent us beans for last year. This year, I told my pop I wanted to talk to Kevin because I want to first off learn. Like I'm picking kind of in the dark. That coffee tastes good. Let's use it. But I'm not really understanding it. So I know nothing about coffee except that there's types of beans and there's types of roast. Let's start with the types of beans. How many are there and what is like the difference?
There's technically 3, but they only talk about 2 as far as consuming. So Arabica is your premium bean, and then a Robusta, which is a more hardy plant, produces a higher yield, but it grows at lower elevations. Higher in caffeine content, does not come out with the same flavors as your Arabica. Arabica, I believe, grows at 7,000 feet or higher and doesn't grow below that. Because the higher altitude, it has more flavor, but also produces a smaller yield. But all of your specialty coffees comes from Arabica.
Okay.
So anything you're drinking at our stores or most of your specialty coffee shops is Arabica beans.
Okay.
Our roaster, Texas Coffee Traders, They're all the coffee that they source is the top 10% of all traded coffee.
Oh.
So one reason you like our coffee so much, it's very high quality.
I thought it had drugs in it. That's what I thought.
It does. It has caffeine.
It does, yeah. Very potent. There's a lesson to be learned here.
Yeah, let's sell legal drugs.
Yeah, legalized stimulants. As they said in one of my favorite rom-coms, You've Got Mail.
It's like addictive.
Absolutely. But so you're where you're going with that is you're sourcing the best beans on purpose because it makes a difference in the brew.
It does, very much so. I mean, I have customers that travel around the world, around the United States, and they come back and to get our lattes and our espresso because it's so good.
Well, and I will say too, and I know this because I talk to Kevin a lot, much more than he probably wants to. He trains with me too at the gym, so he sometimes he's held down against his will and has to talk to me. But you were telling me how you've been. Is it all 20 years that they've actually been your signature bean is made for you? It's not, you didn't shop necessarily to find one you liked and buy it in mass. They're roasting it specifically for your store.
So the owner, RC, and myself met at their roaster house back in 2003-ish. And we formulated the Mochas and Javas blend for our espresso.
Yeah. And 20 some odd year, or that's 21
21 years still using the same roast. And
yeah.
They test the beans every year. So sometimes they have to trade out with different farms to get the same flavor notes. So every year they're tasting and testing these beans to keep our flavor notes. Our roast is 2/3 South America. So it comes in different regions of South America. Then 1/3 of it's from Indonesia.
Okay.
And all that different varieties brings in the specific flavor notes.
Okay. And so you were saying that's Arabica because that's the vast majority of what most people are probably drinking.
Yeah. And specialty coffee.
And specialty coffee.
Your lower end coffee, probably your Folgers, Sanka.
What? Dad, turn it off.
They're doing the Robusta, and they're doing much larger batches also.
Okay. Is there any, I mean, maybe you might say the roast is what is going to answer my question. Is there any baseline differences between Arabica and Robusta people can expect with the exact same roast of the bean? Like, or
it's going to have different flavor notes.
It will.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and you're going to get different flavor notes from beans depending on where they're grown at, because they're going to pick up the flavor of their environment. They're going to pick up how their washing process, how they're dried. All that's going to add flavor, bring in flavor, enhance the flavors of the beans. The soil content, of course, adds flavor to it. So that whole process adds flavor. So beans from different regions roasted the same way will have different flavors.
Okay. So then would you then say segueing to roast? What is the roast ultimately what decides the flavor profile, or is it the bean and the location of the bean?
I think both. Your roasting is going to bring out different flavors on how, if you roast it more darker or roast it lighter, you're going to have different flavor notes.
Okay. So let's go into that then. There's 3 roasting, I'm assuming. There's
a light, medium, then dark, Vienna, which is extra dark. But there's also in between all that, there's variations you can stop at any point in there too.
Right.
There's only a few minutes between roasting from each one of those two. I didn't realize that.
Oh, really?
Years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like one roast for an hour, one roast for 10 minutes. Like one's for 12, one's for 15. I don't know the exact numbers.
You're right. But you're just saying the discrepancy is not that
It's a short range in between different roasts.
Okay.
And how fast the beans roast.
Well, let's generalize because I always blame the audience. This is for me. Talk to me like I'm a kindergartner. There's light, medium, and dark. What can the user expect? I've always been told, this might be a wives' tale. I've always been told the caffeine is one of the first things affected. The lighter the roast, the more the caffeine, the darker the roast, the less. I don't know how a roast would affect caffeine, but is that true?
Well, the roasting burns out some of the caffeine. So the longer it roasts it, disperses some of the caffeine out of the coffee. I think in the whole scheme of things, when you're drinking 8, 12, 20 ounce cup of coffee, I don't know if the regular individual could tell if I have 80 milligrams caffeine or 100 milligrams caffeine.
So it's not really perceivable. Probably.
Well, it might be, but I drink both our light and our dark roast all the time.
Yeah.
I like the caffeine content in both of them.
I'm all over the place probably. I'm not even caffeinated. Espresso is how you roast the bean, or it's a whole different...
Espresso is the extraction process.
Okay.
So 2 different extractions that we use is drip coffee, which you can see the brewer in the back. Then we have the espresso machine right here, which extracts. So we use our dark roast for our toddy. We use it for our drip coffee, which is called our dark roast.
Yeah.
And we use it for our espresso roast. The extraction process is different for each one. So you can drink a drip coffee. It tastes different than Americano because Americano is made with espresso and hot water. Drip coffee is brewed right over ground coffee, hot water brews. It drips out of the filter. We have what they call pulse brewer. So it fills it up, stops, lets it drip, then it pulses it again. That pulsing action actually makes a better drip of coffee.
Really?
Yeah.
I always wonder why.
Gives it more time, pulls out that flavor. So
I will take your beans home sometimes, and they're great, but it is not as good. And I didn't never know if it was the water to bean ratio. And we'll get to that.
Yep.
I kind of jumped over. So dark, like the roast, it does affect the caffeine, but not as much. But it does affect the flavor.
It does affect the flavor.
Perceivably to 99% of people if you don't have COVID or whatever. What my understanding, the dark one, one of the reasons I like your dark roast, it tastes full to me. The acidity is low. Again, this is my perception. I'm ready for Kevin to correct me when I'm saying the wrong thing or if I'm incorrect about my perception. But it doesn't give me acid reflux. Like in the morning, I have to wait an hour anyway before I drink coffee, or I just get I feel inflamed. I think Huberman said something about it, but I've been waiting longer, than he's announced it. But anyway, it tastes like there's like a nuttiness to it that I like. It tastes fuller. That's the best way I can describe it. Where there are some other coffees I've had at other places where they're medium roast,
more fruity, flowery,
acidic. Like I don't know how to best describe it except that it just tastes acidic going down, where that's not what I'm going for in the morning. So even when I'm not drinking your coffee, I'm buying dark roast from my home, from whomever, or I'm getting gifted dark roast. And even with other brands and other companies, I've found, dark roast is for me because it's a more complete flavor profile that I like, and it's less acidic. Is that all true observations, or are you going to say, no, actually the acidity is the exact same, like the caffeine? Or
you know what? More research from my end in that, but I think part of it is just a preference. I think preference-wise, your body likes the dark roast better.
Yeah.
Our dark roast is a dark roast with mediums in there also that brings out the unique flavor in the espresso.
Okay.
So we have darks. So they roast it separate to get the mediums, and they roast the dark separate, and they mix the two together to get our specific espresso roast.
That's your signature.
That's our signature, yeah.
And like you were just talking about the extraction, using the same beans, but for different purposes.
Yeah, three different processes.
Explain what extraction is and how it's achieved and why you would use different methods depending on how you're using the bean.
Well, espresso to me is a true flavor of coffee. The espresso machine forces hot water through a packed, very fine ground coffee, and it does it in 25 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And that pressure and hot water extraction that emulsifies the oils in that coffee. So as it brews out, you see that kind of brown texture come out, which is called crema. So when you have good crema, you have a good emulsification of the oils that brings stuff. If you have good crema, you usually have good espresso.
Okay.
Then you have in our drip coffee, we do a 6 ounce for 1 gallon, but in our espresso, we do a 2-to-1 ratio.
Okay. That's easy to remember.
For 18 grams of weighted espresso grounds, we shoot for 36 to 38 grams of liquid from that. So you get a 2-to-1 ratio.
And y'all are like, do you have things that are just marked off to make it easier, or are people actually?
So what we do is we set the machine to dose the right amount of volume water by, so we put a scale on the machine, put pitchers in there, then we brew it to that grams and stop it at that grams. And we set all the group heads to that same volume.
Okay.
And then in the mornings, we weigh out our portafilters, grind the espresso, weigh it out to 18 grams.
Okay.
And then we shoot for that 25 to 30 second extraction time also, because you can get under extracted or over extracted. Over extracted, you get more of a burnt flavor. When you under extract it, it has more of a sour taste to it.
Okay.
When you hit that sweet spot of 25 to 30, you get a better flavor note in the middle where it's supposed to be. And if you're drinking lattes or cappuccinos or cortados, under or over extracted, you can taste it in the drink.
This is why I come here instead of trying to do this crap at home, because I have friends that are coffee snobs and they have the gazillion-dollar machine at home and all that. And it's an effort, right? To make sure that the product, and obviously because y'all been here a while and people keep coming back, it's a product that people want. And that's why they keep coming back for it. Free plug for Mochas and Javas in San Marcos, Texas. I just so interesting to me though how the extraction process, like I mean, how you're using the exact same bean it can
and
be
the different flavors
and the
for all
different
three.
flavors for all. Yeah, because the drip is a different. Like if I got an Americano and I didn't add cream, it like to me, if I want more caffeine, what I do is an Americano.
You get a red eye.
Yeah, well, you do. Well, yeah, we'll say he makes this drink called the red eye, which is actually the shot of espresso and then drip.
Right.
But I just mean like normally if I'm on the road, I'm nowhere near Mochas and Javas. Don't judge me, but I'll either go to Starbucks or McDonald's. And if I want a latte, I'll go to Starbucks. My wife's a teacher. I have $1 gazillion in gift cards to Starbucks. And she should tell her students.
Convert to the Mochas and Javas gift cards.
Yeah. Well, do you have an exchange program? Anyway, so I'll go and their drip coffee's garbage. I've been very vocal about that, but their Americano's not bad, especially if you put some half and half in it. Being the same bean though, if I had your Americano and your drip without cream, it's gonna be a totally different.
It'll taste different.
I say totally. I don't want to be hyperbolic, but it is a noticeable difference. Is it the steamed water that is changing that profile?
It's not the water. It's back to the extraction.
You're getting
back to the extraction.
Okay, that's so interesting. Is that just something you had to learn? You went to coffee college, or like how is that? Or is it a learned process?
It's just through time and listening, paying attention. We've been doing more training the last 4 or 5 years with our roaster also, which has been very helpful to all of our staff, including myself too. So we visit the roaster, we talk coffee, tea, we talk about how they source the coffee, where it comes from. It educates our team on it. Yeah. So we take all levels of staff, from management down to our baristas, into the training. So we do that every quarter. Then 1 quarter we'll go up there. Then 1 quarter they'll come down here and we'll do the same training here.
Okay.
So Sam, who works with them, is very good at the training process, knowledge of what
they in Austin?
They're in Austin.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I thought they were in Dallas.
Coffee about 40 plus years now. So
okay. We side note, because people who watch this channel love my side note. We had a project a long time ago with Farmer Brothers. Where we took a kegerator into there. We had a whole different tower setup. Here at Mochas and Javas, they have a state-of-the-art nitro fusion tower from catconnection.com. But we took it there. This was 2015, 2016, and it was our prototype and all that. Oh, let us test it for a month. We'll get back to you. Guess who still has our kegerator and all that? Like 8 years later, Farmer Brothers. I should probably bleep that out because I might get. Is that slander or libel or? I don't know if it is. I'll add it. I'll just beep, beep, beep.
Can you just send them a bill?
Yeah. No, yeah, we did. Yeah. And I offered to go pick it up. It was one of those things like, it was.
So I didn't have to actually pay for this?
No, that's what I'm saying. It was a demo unit and this and that. And yeah, I'll just say some cuss words around here.
And that's another point, also talking about the nitro curd brew. The nitro tastes different than the toddy. Even though they come out of the same.
And that's what's wild too. Yes. So a lot of people who homebrew get into alternative brewings as well. Coffee being one of the easiest ones because everybody in this country is addicted to caffeine. It's just,
one form or another.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They really are. My wife, again, being a teacher, goes through a pot a day in her classroom and she's like, I can function without it. But then 10 p.m., guzzling it down, like, because she can still go to sleep. If I have a cup of coffee too late, I can't sleep. Like I'm already too jittery. It's the Tourette's or something.
Gotta drink more beer.
Gotta drink more beer. That's right. But it is wild how, again, the same bean, but through the extraction and the transmission method for the toddy is totally different than the hot side drip, totally different than the hot side espresso drinks. But also then even funnier, guys, you take that same keg of just his normal cold brew coffee of this dark roast bean and you put some nitrogen on it. And now it is an entirely different user experience. The mouthfeel is much softer. You don't even have to, I don't add cream. You don't have to.
Yeah, it is good.
It's sweet enough to where it's incredible. And I don't know the science behind it, but it is incredible how you can start with a single source and do so much. Beans are versatile. I guess.
If we did a pour over, it tastes different. And when I do French press with our coffee, it tastes a little bit different also. So the brewing process does change it. I think what a lot of people do at home is they don't brew coffee strong enough. They don't add enough coffee to it. My wife, I had to get her to add enough coffee because when she'd make coffee at home, it's like it just didn't ever taste that. Even so, our coffee, because she made it too weak because she didn't like strong coffee. So I just started making it because I get up early. I just made it stronger. And then she just adds hot water to it to thin it down. And she has cream to it. But a lot of people will think the coffee tastes bad because it's bad coffee. Sometimes it's just not strong enough.
Interesting. Is there a rule of thumb for scoops? Like there, I assume that there is a standard. What is a scoop? A teaspoon? Or tablespoon, pardon me. A tablespoon?
Brew in ounces. So we do, like I said, we do 6 ounces per gallon. For
the home person, though, I don't
want to throw somebody off. I do 4 big heaping tablespoons for about 8 cups at the house.
Okay, that's what we do 4 for 10,
Yeah.
like a 10-cup thing. Because again, my wife takes 8 of them with her, like on the drive to. Thanks for making coffee, honey. Oh, thanks for leaving me some. And that seems to be the sweet spot for us. But is this one of those, like with home brewing? Some people call it a cop out when I say this, but this really is to preference, right? In regards to,
I think it is to preference.
You learn like with beer, with brewing coffee, you probably have to learn your system that you're using, whether it be a pour over or it's a natural Black & Decker drip machine that I've had forever. Black & Decker, free shout out. I don't even know if they're still in business. I have no idea. Did they do under with Sears? No, that wasn't Sears brand. Craftsman was their brand.
Yeah, Craftsman got sold out. I think Lowe's bought them out.
I think they did too. Yeah. But anyway, Black & Decker, you're welcome. Shout out. But I had to learn because the drip one we had before was just, you know what I mean? Like it could have been, for 10 cups, the perfect is 3 tablespoons. Like it's weird how, and it must be with temperature of the water and how quick it's pushing it through the grind.
How long it sits on the,
how long it sits
in the coffee.
Right. I mean, there's so many factors that a lot of this does boil down to, user experience may vary. But anyways, getting to like
preference.
For preference. The final kind of part that I wanted to talk to you about was for choosing a roast for our coffee stout for this year. Can I be as simple-minded as just saying, I like that taste, therefore it'll be imparted in my coffee I'll use, or in my beer? Or is there more to it when you're using coffee with other liquids? Did that make sense?
Ask that again.
So I think that this coffee tastes great on drip.
You think it will come out well in a beer?
Right.
I think it will.
All right. But is it a 1-for-1 where I can expect these flavor profile to come out in the beer, or do I need to use even more?
Well, how much beer are you making?
So we make 10-gallon batch. Well, we're going to probably do 2 10-gallon batches, but they're separate. So a 10-gallon batch at a time.
So I'd say let's make a first 10-gallon batch with X amount of ground coffee.
Yeah.
We can either do 2 to 5 pounds of ground in a 10-gallon batch.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that sounds like too much or not. We could do 2 pounds of ground in the first batch of 10 gallons. And then do what you said, 8 ounces of concentrate.
Yeah.
And then drink it, see if we like it.
Yeah.
If we want more coffee flavor, we can double everything. So then we go 4 pounds of ground and 16 ounces of concentrate into the actual things. Then we can just compare the two.
I'm up for it. I will, in the video notes below, guys, I'll have our recipe PDF that you can download, and I'll send it to you as well. Not that the grain bill's going to mean much to you, but the brewing process you'll see, like at the schedule of operations.
Then we can drink it here with some espresso.
And then, I'm not going to wait to publish this video till then, but we will do a follow-up. Yeah. And maybe I'll just have you, this ended up being, of actual minutes, almost 26 minutes. So I'm going to have to chop up some stuff. Probably me before I get sued for slander and libel, I'll chop that out, but I won't. I'll just beep out names to protect those who might be innocent. But, okay, I think we got a plan then for this year's Breakfast Stout. We're going to go with the Mochas and Javas Dark Roast. It's their signature, and we're going to up the quantity so that we can get a little bit more coffee oomph punch. I don't know if you're familiar with, so we clone Founders is the brewery from Michigan. Their signature stout is called Breakfast Stout. And some people in the comments are just say, but their Kentucky bourbon stout or their Kentucky breakfast stout's better. No, their flagship breakfast stout is one of my favorite beers of all time. And they call it that because it's dense. It's very thick, like oatmeal taste wise, hints of chocolate, but specifically a punch of coffee. And it's not punch as in offensive. It's this pleasant, symphony of everything you like about the morning, but I'm not drinking it in the morning. I promise, Mom.
Yeah, right.
So I know. Yeah. So we try to replicate it. And it's kind of been a thing with the people at the office and the co-host of the podcast that me and my dad brew it every year. We've been doing it since I think 2017, or maybe it was 2018, the first batch we did together. And then we take a keg up there for the owner of the company to enjoy himself. The good thing is people love it, but the bad thing is it's so boozy. We have years, and I'll bring some down to you. We still have from years past, not bottles, but a keg and a half, or pardon me, a gallon and a half or so of this batch from last year still left over. Might even be 2 gallons. I don't know. I should have brought a growler for you and we could have had it right here. Prior proper planning would have prevented piss poor performance, but I'll just superimpose me holding it at my home. But
I'm excited. I think we're going to have,
I'm looking forward to
great flavored beer. Because I know I love our coffee is very good quality. We'll coarse ground this because it will do better as a coarse ground instead of fine. It won't get to the filter. And we have filters you can use.
Okay. That are
paper.
Perfect.
You have to, we use paper, of course.
Yeah.
Filters, big filters.
Yeah.
So we do 5 pounds at a time into a paper filter.
It's so much. The quantity.
It has a mesh, and it has a mesh on the outside of it. The mesh we save and wash. The paper just gets tossed with the 5 pounds of coffee.
I am excited. If I can replicate that flavor profile in the beer, it's going to be a really good batch. And it'll prove me and my dad that the good coffee does matter in this coffee stout.
And the right roast. And you see,
and the right
when
roast.
You have the name coffee stout, it seems like you want more of a medium to dark roast, not a light. And I don't know that much about beer brewing, but it just sounds like when you're talking the word stout, it seems like you just want this. Everything stout, including the coffee.
I agree completely. So we are doing, if you're watching this in November of 2024, my pop and I are doing the Brew Day live on Black Friday. So is that the 27th? I think that's the 27th, the Friday after Thanksgiving. Come and hang out with us there. If you're watching it after the fact, go watch it at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. Make sure you click the like button on this. Leave a comment. That helps the algorithm. And of course, subscribe to the channel. Kevin, my friend, I really appreciate your time. And we will have to have you on for a follow-up where I actually bring you beer and I don't just talk your ears off. So thank you, my friend, for your time. Guys, we'll see you around.